Hello, all. Welcome
Ooh.
back to Actual Play Swords Out Masters Sunday morning speed runs. I am your host, Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns, and I am excited once again to be watching this cool game and be like the wizard in the back, moving things from the background, hidden from view behind the curtain, as I write in motifs of all what folks rad things are doing. Today we're going to be playing Swords Out Master again, and we have our rogues from last week have returned, so I can't wait to see what they do. How about you, Shell? What's up with you?
I'm doing really great. I'm Shell. I use she, her pronouns. And I spent yesterday in the garden, so I collected a whole lot of what I think might be some great motifs about growth and rot and infection and weeds. So that's what I'm excited to bring to the table today. How about you, Misha?
I'm doing pretty good. We got our quick start out the door. By the way, I'm Misha. I use she, her pronouns. Yeah, it's been a weird week. It's up and down roller coaster. I got fan art and it's cool and life is neat. But you, Strauss?
Hi, I'm Strash, he, him. Fan art being cool, there's some really cool fan art that's been popping up on the Twitter that I've seen about this game, that people are actually doing really cool art of stuff that we're doing. It kind of blows my mind. So if you get a chance, I think Epi's retweeted a number of those pieces.
Yeah.
Check them out. And yeah, I am super excited to see what kind of scoundrelly goodness our rogues can get to and try and say intensely sword and sorcery things to try and beat our time from last time. So what about you, Epi?
I'm doing good. I'm Epi. I use he, him pronouns. I spent the morning slipping and struggling in a perilous phase against wizard puberty. Wizard puberty.
Yeah, you have to explain that one a little bit.
I'm gonna need.
All right, so
your computer, because that took so long to boot up. But.
Yeah, well, the computer was a problem, but okay. So puberty is that moment in life when hair grows where you don't expect it. Wizard puberty is that moment later in life when hair grows from your ears, from like when your eyebrows turn into comb overs, that sort of thing. So I just had a very existential crisis this morning as I was shaving my head and realized I had to shave in more places than most.
Good to know.
I'm reaching that point where I have to decide if I have to lean into what my eyebrows want to do or just so.
I think you should go full bushy eyebrow.
Yeah, well, if all of them were going to do that, but it seems like it's just the middle parts that want it, so it's going to be more like antennae. Anyways, the point is,
I feel you so hard, Epi.
Right?
I get mine on the ends, and I swear someday I should wax them. Like they want to go forever. They're like 1,000 miles long. I don't even know.
Yeah. And then you get to it, you're like, why has no one told me? Like, what? I was walking around. I could have, like, taken somebody's eye out here, and I'm like a health hazard. Anyways, that was my morning, and now I'm going to take it out on the rogues.
Nice.
Is the wizard puberty too?
That's a motif. Unfortunately, we're not in game already. So.
Oh God, I hope I roll jovial for this first overtime.
Everybody in?
I mean, bring up my stopwatch and we can get going on this, huh?
No,
we're gonna flip over to the rogue screen.
Yeah,
and see you all soon.
Okay. So I said this before while we were all on the other side, but what we're going to do here, instead of taking turns introducing our rogues, we're going to jump right into a game, and like seasoned sword and sorcery pulp writers, we're going to find a way to introduce our rogues in the beginning that explains to the audience who's reading exactly what they're dealing with. And we're going to do that with a rogue's face. So let me try and do three things at the same time here. All right, we're rolling for the first overtone. Jovial. And we're off.
As per the prophecy.
Yes. All right. So you lot are in the city of Fire and Coin, the city of opportunity, right? This is a coastal city where many caravans and ships come in and out, and it's very rich, and it's one of those fantasy cities that's far too large for what it can support until you take the time to find out what Rome actually looked like, and then you're like, holy shit, they can get big. Where you are specifically in the city of Fire and Coin is in the splendor of a hall of one of the, noble born, super rich, I'm going to say baron. And the baron is sitting up on their throne. And like most baron and nobles in the city of Fire and Coin, they dress for the job they want, not the job they have. So he's a younger lad who is wearing far too, silks and draped in jewels and up on this throne. And you're in the middle of a party. There's dancing going on. There's tables all along the side with lots of various beasts. Some you can identify, some you can't, that have been roasted for you. Fruits draped all over the place. Wine is flowing along with stronger drink. I need to give you a thunder, so I'm going to move this over here to indicate that we've got a thunder coming. There is a older woman who is dancing and super into all of this, but every so often she eyes you nervously, right? So she's joining the crowd, dancing back and forth, swinging around with all of her partners, but every so often she looks at each one of you at some point, and you can see some sort of, you don't know what her intent is, but she eyes you nervously. Outside, because it's the city of Fire and Coin and it's almost dusk, the night fires have been lit, so it's all like these brilliant, gorgeous orange colors and whatnot. So we are now in a rogues phase. I am going to hand the dice to one of you and make a demand. Let me hand it to... I'm going to hand it to Phaedra. There you go, Phaedra. Show us why you were invited to this particular party. And because it's a rogues phase, you roll first.
All right. All right, so that is still jovial. Why was I?
Because you're a party animal.
Yeah. So at some point, Phaedra stands up, and as the song shifts, and she stands and very gracefully draws both daggers and starts this kind of a whirling, flowing kind of half martial art kata, half dance to the music that's going on behind, and she she actually, some people she gets really close to with the daggers. Some people she actually even snips a little piece of their clothing, just makes a little like a distinctive, kind of not quite the Zorro slash, but almost the Zorro slash, and is just kind of keeping the crowd moving and excited and watching as she spins and weaves her way among the different crowd.
So this is a rogue phase. Any one of us can end it here if we want, but we want to introduce our rogues, right?
Yes,
so you can make a demand to someone else if we want to continue.
So Losa, show us. Show us how you attract the attention of the Baron.
Oh.
All right. Oh.
Okay.
Oh. Oh,
This is great.
moral of the story.
So this is actually a mystery, which we didn't have last time. This is a good learning moment. First of all, it's a stymie, which means we are now glum, and
Yeah.
that is going to be an escalation. I can make sure the escalation happens if you don't have one. But what you want to do is the demand was show us how you attract the attention of the Baron. Was that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to show us how you were prevented from doing that by something unknown or supernatural, and then you're going to write a question about that.
All right. So in the center of the hall, in this magnificent sort of entertainment space, there's a fountain, and the fountain is fed by hot springs from beneath the city of Fire and Coin. And the fountain is lit by a ring of torches, each sort of created by alchemists in the city to have their own color. So you have a red torch and a blue torch and a purple torch, an incredible rainbow of torches. So Losa, thinking that this was going to be her big night, went over to sort of stand with the fountain in front of her, almost like a conductor, and went to sort of summon all of the lights of the torches up on the tips of her daggers into a rainbow to make it dance. However, at that exact moment, that hot spring that feeds the fountain sort of starts to burble and ripple and spin and spiral up, and up shoots a geyser. And that geyser has not been seen for hundreds of years.
Nice. So that we hit on the glum escalation, can we have the party like die into awe? On
Yes,
this?
yeah. Everybody goes quiet, and you can see anybody over the age of, say, 50 sees
Right.
it as an ill omen.
Nice. Excellent. So you get to write a question about that, like what has caused this to happen or whatever. But if you'd like to make a demand before you write your question,
Yeah.
feel free.
So I'm going to make a demand of Arahan Firehaired. Are we glum? Yeah, we're overtone glum now, right?
Yeah.
All right, Arahan. How does? Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
How
no
does
problem.
Arahan? How does Arahan try? How does Arahan try to bring the party back
Oh, okay.
from
Okay.
this ill tiding?
Well, it's
Yeah.
jovial. I think it's interesting. If it was glum, I was probably going to be stealing something. But I think if it's jovial, I think
We'll still be stealing something.
no. I think we'll actually just dive right into the party. So let's see. So both of you are dancing, and it seems like you are entertaining the guests and or the Baron, as the case may be. So I guess that we are here as entertainment. Whether that entertainment is a pretense for something else or not, we'll find out later in the story. But I think that what's going to happen is Arahan is a little disappointed because Arahan is dueling with the Baron's champion. And the two of them are like locked and wrestling, and there's this like epic bout going on. When this geyser goes off, Arahan is a little sulky about the fact that nobody's paying attention to this like epic fight that's happening. So there's this moment where like everyone's sitting in awe, and like Arahan sweeps the leg of the other dude, and instead of like going for a pin, actually chucks him straight into the geyser. And then, like when everybody like looks at like where this giant dude clashing into guys who come from Arahan is all like, ah! And then, like, people with the drinks, and it's just like, oh, so like that's totally me. And I will pass the dice back to Epi.
Excellent.
And ask you to show us, Overplayer, show us how the partygoers respond to the ruckus.
All right. So
How the Baron responds
Yes.
to the ruckus.
So this is great because the overtone is glum, and I cannot roll the dice. I have to be glum here. So, I think the Baron's eyes grow wider when the geyser happens. Clearly, because there's a geyser in the middle of his splendorific hall. The old woman that was dancing before and eyeing you all suspiciously, like pads up to him and starts whispering in his ear, and his eyes just get bigger and bigger, and he starts sinking away in his throne and calls forth some guards. And I'm ending the phase right there. he calls them quietly. He waves them over so none can see. All right, ending the phase. I'm going to roll for a new tone. Are we already on our second motif? Yeah, let's do this. Speed run. All right. I don't get any threads, so I'm just jovial.
Thank you for the wrestling joke there, Sean.
That's all Shell. I just pulled it out of chat.
Thank you, Shell.
She called it.
I know a Conan move when I see one.
All right. We are in the streets of the city of Fire and Coin. It's nighttime, but the city of Fire and Coin never sleeps. That's why it has its fire. That's why it's got to spend its coin. The three of you are running, and you're being pursued by the fabled tiger-bound guard of the city of Fire and Coin. So, armored guards in shining armor on the back of tigers are chasing through the streets.
Of course there are.
Overhead, the troops of monkeys that fight over the rooftops of the city of Fire and Coin are howling and chasing along with you, and that is the thunder. So that these troops of are howling in delight and chasing along with you. I am going to go straight into another rogues phase, and since I feel like this is probably Arhan's. You know what? Actually, I'm going to hand it to Losa. Losa, how do you show us how you lose the tiger guards?
All right. Gonna roll. Oh, jovially.
Nice.
So we're running. And Losa is behind. She's not the fastest, but she's been known to be tricky. And the fire dancing in the street is just another weapon in her mighty array of daggers. So Losa pulls the flames on the tips of her daggers and shoots them into the air so that they come down like a rain of arrows behind her as she's running, just throwing them up in the air to create a distraction of, it's the light, it's the flame, it's the smoke. She's trying to blind them, and ahead of her it's getting darker and darker, and her eyes are adjusting to the darkness, and hopefully so are Phaedra's and Arhan's, but she didn't really ask them if this was okay. So I'd like to ask Phaedra, how do you deal with the newly darkened streets?
You should roll first. Oh, you did. Never mind.
Still jovial.
Yes. It's not a quiet night. Oh, I think Misha might be muted.
That's the fun of having your thing right, like where your arm hits your side occasionally, and so it pushes a button. So the lights going out creates these pools of shadow. No, don't restart now. When,
Bad
and
window.
pools of shadows. She uses to her advantage, and she sees one off to the side and grabs Losa as she runs past, pulling her into it and letting the guards run past them. Still chasing poor Arhan, who is the only one that they can see now. So Arhan, tell us how you keep the monkeys that are above you from finding you.
Oh, well, my friend is going to help me here. There's a moral here.
Yes, it is.
And an escalation, but it is jovial. Actually, I have an idea. I think what it is as Arhan is running, there's like a moment where like very Prince of Persia-esque, right? He leaps, grabs like a post that is sticking out, like rotates around it, leaps up, sort of like hand over hands down like a rope, and starts clambering towards the rooftops. But what very few other people see is that Roish, the big bear lion dog cloak that he's wearing, is whispering in his ear. And as you see him like run by a stall, you see like a single thing disappear. And as you see him run by like a house, like a couple of flowers disappear out of a pot or whatever. And as he reaches the rooftops and all the monkeys are there, what happens is he throws a handful of something into one of those braziers that the fire has been taken out of, so that like all the fire has dimmed, but there are still embers, and smoke pours out of it. And as he runs past a few of them, these clouds come out, and I think the monkeys can't smell. So Royce has told me how to pull which herbs that actually dull the senses and dissuade the monkeys. He basically made like bug spray for the monkeys for the moment. So hopefully there's a little bit of heat, a little bit of action. Maybe it's a jovial. I'm not sure what the moral is. There might be an escalation here.
Yeah, I get to add a consequence if I don't feel like this is enough bite.
Actually, Epi, I know what a consequence might be if you'll.
Sure, go for it.
Well, it seems that most of the monkeys are distracted. On the other hand, the Monkey King.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like these are warring monkey kingdoms up here. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a Monkey King. All right, I'm going to end this phase because anyone can end a rogue's phase. I'm going to roll for the next overtone. No, it doesn't mean anything to me except we're glum. This is great. We're glum and we're separated, I believe.
Well, Losa and I are together, but yes, we're separated from Arhan.
I'm sure I'll come crashing in.
we need a moral written down for the last one, for the Monkey King.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Okay, so all right, just for the hell of it, 3 days earlier, the three of you are sitting penniless in a tavern where you're drinking ale that you can't afford. It is, the candles are going low, the light is growing dim, and at some point you're going to either have to make a run for it or somehow intimidate the innkeeper into letting you get away with this, whatever bill you've racked up. Nobody's happy about this. This is not like the kind of roguishness you enjoy getting up to. The thunder is that this okay, so this woman that we had originally seen in our story dancing and eyeing all of you suspiciously, who spoke to the Baron, is here but dressed far more less ostentatiously. Like she's just wearing like very muted earth tone robes and things, and in the corner there are very few patrons in this tavern aside from her, but she keeps her eye on all of you. So this is a discovery phase, wherein you just get to come up with something about the world if you like. I am going to hand the dice to Phaedra. So you just roll and come up with something. Something glum.
Glumly. And what was the ask?
Oh, it's just, no, this is the discovery phase. So you just get to come up with something, and then if you ask me a loaded question about it. So this could be something that leads us to where we are in the story now, or it could just be like something you know about the world. It doesn't have to be connected. There's no need for that.
So Phaedra pulls from her pouch a well-worn map, and she spreads it out on the table, and she points to a spot on it. We could just get here. There's so many stories in my village of the riches that could be found here. But I don't know how to get here. I mean, yeah, it's a map, but it doesn't actually have any landmarks I recognize on it. And I don't know. I mean, we could live like kings off the money that we could recover from here, but we can't. So, my question to you, over player, where is this place and how can we get to it?
Oh, all right. That is a good question. I am, you know what? I'm going to call back to last week's game. You vaguely recall, because all of last week's game felt like a dream. You vaguely recall, you're looking at the map and you vaguely recall a section that looks like the Valley of the Mausoleums, where last week's game, and it's beyond the river that's beyond that, or beyond that river that runs through that valley there, and it just tingles in the back of your head. I am not ending this phase, which means somebody gets to, you get to hand the dice to someone else, and they'll have to make a discovery.
I'll pass them off to Losa.
So there's no need for a demand. Losa just rolls.
All right. Still very glum. So Losa's looking at Phaedra's map and starts pulling out what look like pieces of crumpled paper. And as she lays them out on the table, we see that they actually start to attach to Phaedra's map. And indeed, we see that Valley of the Mausoleums. And Losa says, I don't know where I got these. I can't remember when they came into my collection, but I've been holding on to them because they make my mind remember something that I can't actually talk about or say. So if they attach to your map, maybe we could go back and find out what happened to me in this place that I can't remember, but I know I was there. So do I make a demand directly?
You make ask me a loaded question.
All right. So what happened between last session's adventure and this one to enspell us all to forget it?
Oh, that's a good question. All right. So where we last left you last week, last time on Swords Without Master, Losa had disappeared into the river, right? Like that's, and suddenly you're all back together. And none of you can recall why or what's happening. I think you were called back by someone.
Ooh.
You know what? I'm apologies to Strash. I'm ending this phase here, but
no, I had a cool thing. Okay.
I think you were called back. You're just starting to realize that you were called back by someone, and you're starting to like kind of understand or recognize who that is when she stands up and crosses the room and invites you to the Baron's party. Like throws some coin on the table to pay for your meal and says, in 3 days' time, I need you to be here. All right. Let's end that phase. I'm going to roll for the next phase. We are so good on the motifs here, folks. We're just flying through them.
One more.
We got to find an echo.
Yeah, we need an echo here.
That's all
And
good.
also, we want to make something coherent out of our story, but we're getting there. All right. Jovial. We're going back to right where we last left you. You're all split up. You know what? It's another discovery phase. This is exactly where we're going to go. We are with Arahan alone.
Of course. Okay.
You've sat down and you're like trying to figure out, okay, how do I meet up with everyone again? Yeah, because you probably have like bolt holes and things throughout the city, or different ways that you get together. Or maybe you're like, I'll see them again some sunny day. But as you're sitting on one of the rooftops overlooking the spires of the city of Fire and Coin, a shadow passes, just a gargantuan looming shadow passes over you, and is of course one of the Monkey Kings, who just sits down next to you. And you know what? The thunder is just that a Monkey King is sitting next to you. That's all we need.
Thunder, really.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's all we need for the thunder. So there's a discovery phase. In a low voice, the Monkey King starts talking to you. Take it.
Cool. Let me roll immediately,
Yeah.
as per the prophecy.
Mhm.
Oh, where'd the dice go? Hang on.
They're on the table, so there you go.
Ooh.
So,
Refresh my mind how stymies work in the discovery phase.
yes. So this is stymie in the discovery phase, which means you're going to tell us something that your rogue should know or should have discovered, but just didn't. For whatever reason, we as players and all the audience will know and understand the dramatic irony involved in all that. What did I just roll? I had rolled jovial, so I was jovial. I don't know if I made the Monkey King jovial. Well, his loud, growly voice, I guess, is probably there.
His
But
huge
now we're
presence.
glum.
Yes, we are. It's all shadowy, and I'm in shadow, and it's nighttime. I think what it is if you recall, there was the map, and we knew about the treasures of like this super mausoleum, right? Like that we had seen previously, and this old woman that had called us back from the undertow and whatnot, and our memories had been stolen, had talked to us about this job. But what we see is I'm a flashback for a second to the party, and what Arahan was actually doing with the head guard was stealing an amulet that the Baron gives to his champion. And what Arahan is not noticing right now, what I should learn but I don't, is the fact that the Monkey King has lifted it off of me while distracting me by having a conversation. So I think the Monkey King, the way that this discovery goes is the Monkey King and Arahan sort of like square up and actually speak to each other, and you discover that I don't know. I guess there is some history between them. He like there's a little bit of banter, there's a little bit of bluster. The Monkey King challenges like Arahan and like sort of like, what are you doing in my domain, and what are you going to give me for passing through it? And then Arahan like is like, oh, like promises him a favor or something. And it's a pretty standard sword and sorcery exchange.
Right.
But obviously, somewhere in the process, I lose the thing that I was supposed to bring back from the party that we desperately need for this next adventure.
Right.
And the thing that I'm going to ask you, Epi, is what do the monkey guards need an amulet that opens a way to a place of the dead for?
That is a great question. Okay, so we have in the treetop or the rooftops of the city of Fire and Coin, there are a bunch of warring clans of monkeys that the humans tolerate. They they know they're there. They deal. They're like, but they don't interact with. Like, there's no except for a few rogues such as yourselves. Nobody. It's best left to their own business. this Monkey King has lost generations in these wars and wishes to bring them back to rule over the rooftops.
Undead monkeys!
What? Now, none of you know that.
Now we'll figure it out when it happens here.
So that was a stymie. So you were unable to actually know any of that is happening. But obviously, our audience and the reading of this imaginary short story, readers of the Imagine, will know that. We are now we're in the end game. We have filled up our motif very swiftly. So I'm rolling for a glum overtone. Okay. Where do we want to go here? Okay, we're going. I feel like we're going to end this game on a cliffhanger, which is great. This is perfect. Okay, I'm going to go a perilous phase. I rarely do a perilous phase in the end game.
Let's do it. Close it out.
Do it.
We so there's the omen of the geyser. There's all of this stuff that has transpired. You are now again, Glum, sitting back at that tavern in the future, and I think the thunder is that spot on the map that you were looking for, you can't find again. You're like, where was that? Like, we were looking at this just last week. This is the solution to all of our problems. It is, again, nighttime in the city of Fire and Coin, but like the lights, the fires are up and whatnot. But a howl comes through and the fires start going out one by one. And I'm glum. Oh, it's just like it's a howl, but it's a distant howl. It's a howl. It sounds farther away than it actually is. And you just see these shadowy silhouettes of monkeys and apes rolling down the street. But you can see like through the silhouettes that they're like, some of them are just like chunks of meat with like bone between them and whatnot. And everything gets cold. And the patrons that are in the tavern at that time, like, back up towards where the fireplace inside the tavern are, and like start to like put tables up, to hide behind. All right, it's a perilous phase. I am handing the dice to Phaedra. You have the dice to begin with. We have the thunder. I'm going to give you a storm. Everyone can slip and struggle with it. That the door to it. Oh no, I'm glum. I really want something to burst in, but what actually happens is these glowing violet spectral apes armed with spears and wearing old helms stick their heads through through the door and through the boarded up windows, and they start coming in, and as they reach out with their weapons and hit like candles, they go out. So the room is starting to go dark. Right, who is closest to the window? All right, Arahan. You're not only closest to the window, but clearly you weren't looking that direction.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yes. So I think one of the nearest ones, like Arahan's, like you're looking around, I assume, to see what's happening, and I'm gonna have a spear just come right out of your chest, like this, like spectral. You rolling?
Yeah, it totally does. I think there's a burst of blood, and Arha's usual furious war cry is just a gurgle, and he clutches onto the spear and actually staggers forward and drags this dead monkey in, only to have it collapse on him.
Yes. And more pour in after him. One just comes in, like a rather big one, snarls and pulls the spear out of Arahan's back and reaches out for Losa. I'm gonna kill every last one of you until Phaedra rolls. Yay!
We never said that Arhan was dead. We just
No,
said
we did not.
yeah,
We
this
did not.
suggests. So that,
And we're in the end game, so if you want to reincorporate, do that as well.
yeah, so that is jovial.
Nice.
So as the monkeys have been knocking out the candles and the like that little wisp of smoke that's coming up, Phaedra like stands and starts whirling again, and it's sucking all the smoke towards her, kind of in a not quite a tornado, but kind of a little
Whirlwind.
plume. Yeah, and she pulls it in, and then she just kind of waves her arms. They kind of goes flying back out over the monkeys, and it picked up just enough of the herbs off of Arhan's body to recreate that smoke,
Oh,
and kind of dulls her senses enough that she can grab the other two and yank them out of the tavern.
nice.
Are you confluencing stuff to wrap up your thing?
Yes, so I was trying to reincorporate the smoke pouring out of the braziers,
Yeah.
and also the dagger dance. So
those are off of two different motifs. So let's see if we can combine, because it should be from the same motif when you combine
gotcha.
them.
Then let's combine the geyser and the dagger dance.
All
Because
right.
the twirl kind of looks like the
Yeah.
geyser did as it.
Excellent. All right. So now you can't get the dice, but we're almost done. Just one more reincorporation. You can go ahead and hand them to whoever you want, whenever you want. I'm going to continue with this. You said you pulled them out onto the streets, right?
Yes, out into the streets.
Yeah. So Arhan, I assume, is still on the ground. You are out on the streets, and you can see the wave of lights going out through the massive city of Firing Coin as these things roll. The monkeys roll across the rooftops, and I'm going to give you something. Oh, and you see them doing battle with, like, at this point the eerie sounds of the like alarms that the tiger-bound guards use have gone off, and you can see in the distance some of these guards fighting in corners with these spectral apes. I'm going to put some pressure on you right away here. I think while you're all watching this spectacle, something creeping along the ground has grabbed Arhan and is dragging Arahan's body away towards an alleyway. I can't see them. I'm looking at the wrong
You did
screen.
not to be tribute for nothing.
Yes.
Thank you,
I'm
Abby.
rolling.
Yeah. Oh, rolling. All right.
All right. It's jovial. We're about to have some fun with this. This is
All
a
right.
fun perilous phase. So just quickly, for the wrap up, I want to either do two motifs, or can I do a motif and a moral, or a motif and a mystery?
You can reincorporate a moral by teaching us the lesson, or saying you'll never learn the lesson, or teaching the lesson to someone else, or that kind of thing. The mystery you can reincorporate by either adding to it, like being like, we have more questions about this, or you can solve it. You can say, this is what it was. The motif is the one where you have to take two elements and put them together, and they have to be off the same motif. So you can't choose the first motif, but the second and third are available.
All right. And Arhan is getting dragged away.
Yeah.
So Losa is going to pull out her feat heroic.
Nice.
Her jovial feat heroic. She stands tall. She pulls light from any source left, from the stars, from the moon, from the gleam in the heart of the embers of the braziers, and creates a glorious, vicious glow around her as she draws her daggers, and she leaps onto this creature that is now, cast in a shining light we can see is a strange. It's almost like the guards have the tigers, and the monkeys have clearly found something much older in those caverns, some sort of proto saber-toothed creature that they've revived, and with its teeth in Arahan's arm, Lohse is going to strike at it, screaming at Arahan, "This is why we don't go to cities. There's too many factions."
Oh, that's good.
Were you teaching us a moral?
Yes, don't meddle in the wars of other kingdoms, or be careful about meddling in the wars of other kingdoms. Definitely.
Excellent. Is that
cool. I think that's it. Wait, time.
All right.
40 minutes, 31 seconds.
Yes.
We beat it!
Well, like a fair chunk here.
Excellent. Woo. So, I mean, this, I feel like, ended on quite a cliffhanger here. I feel like...
oh, yeah.
And we're like way under time, too.
Yeah.
So what's the plan, Epi?
Should we take a break and come back and try and fit another one in before?
Let's do it.
Well, let's definitely take a break because we're about that time. And so audience and chat, you get to benefit from not one but two Swords and Sorcery adventures this morning. So we'll be back in a few minutes with our heroes, maybe picking up from last time, maybe something else.
Who knows?
We'll find out when we get there. We'll see you all soon.